so today I will be doing a book haul, which I know is very different to what I usually post on my channel, you know, fashion and vlogs, but I literally want my channel to be a platform where it's like a community, and you know, where people can come together and relate to each other and share their stories and learn from each other, and most importantly grow together. And I want to do that through fashion, I want to do that through art, I want to do that through creativity, and I want to do it through, you know, just life advice as well, and like sharing my stories and reading, and you know, I've just it's a 2018 vibe. So I'll talk about it more in another video, this 2018 vibe that I'm doing this year, but yeah, I'll talk about it more in another video. But basically I have gotten into reading again. I used to read a lot when I was younger, but I stopped due to social media, and I got into it again, but this time I read non-fiction books. Well, most of the books that I read are non-fiction, so just books about life, books about wisdom, books about compassion, books about hope, like just things that I could apply to my everyday life. And that all started from reading a book last year called Thrive by Arianna Huffington. I actually read it twice, and I'll be mentioning it in a favorites video soon. Yeah, I absolutely love that book. From that book I got inspired to start reading again, and that's what I'm doing. So this is my book haul. I bought a bunch of books in Indonesia. I wasn't expecting to find so many books on my list because I had a book list. I wasn't expecting to find so many books, so I was very excited, and they were very affordable, which is why I bought them all there. This was why my suitcase was heavy. The first book that I bought was, I'll show you the one that I bought before I actually left. This is called Better Than Before, and it's by Gretchen Rubin, and it's basically just about mastering good habits and getting rid of bad habits. And when I bought this, I wasn't really in a good place in my life, and I wanted to change a lot about myself, so I thought this book was a great start. And I just found it was like on sale. It was 15 bucks, and yeah, the blurb seemed pretty enticing, so I was like, okay, why not give it a shot. That's also one of the things I love about books, is that you rarely ever feel like you wasted your money on a book, because if you don't end up liking a book, you can always pass on to someone, you can donate it, and someone else might find beauty in it, someone else might learn something from it. So that's why I figured, you know, do it, buy it, yeah, just do it. Okay, it's a 2018 vibe. There's a little like card that she included, and I'll read it to you. The subject of habits is such an important one. Our habits make up so much of our everyday and have the potential to help us live our best lives, and yet they're often the hardest to change. The inspiring book by Gretchen explores all the important questions surrounding the topic to show how each individual can change their habits for the better. Kiki K does this thing where they sell books about life, about wisdom, all the things that I love, and they basically redesign the cover, and that is where I found Thrive. I actually bought that from Kiki K, and that is where it all started. So because I was so hooked onto that book, I thought this one would be good as well if Kiki K is selling it. So this is just a little message from the Kiki K founder, and she basically convinced me to buy this. So I will let you guys know how I like it. I've never done a book haul, so I don't really know how to go about this, so forgive me if it's awkward. The rest of the books I got in Indonesia, I got about 7 books. That doesn't look great. 7. Can't count sometimes. The first book that I got is called The Alchemist. I'm pretty sure you guys know this. This is by Paulo Coelho. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm gonna say it in this video. I'll read you guys the blurb real quick. Paulo Coelho's masterpiece tells a mystical story of Santiago, an Andalusian shepherd boy who yearns to travel in search of a worldly treasure. His quest will lead him to riches far different and far more satisfying than he ever imagined. Santiago's journey teaches us about the essential wisdom of listening to our hearts, of recognizing opportunity, and learning to read the omens strewn along life's path, and most importantly, to follow our dreams. Need I say more? This is the one that I'm currently reading, and I actually am loving it. I can't wait to read it tonight. So far I am so impressed. The reason why I love reading non-fiction books is because you can easily underline pieces of advice that the author just throws in there, and just really beautiful written pieces that you can apply to your life. So I just like to underline. I always have a pen with me, or a pencil. And this isn't even a non-fiction book, this is a fiction book, but there's obviously reality to it. So far I've been underlining a lot, and that means book is good so far. I can see why so many people recommended it to me. The next book that I got was on my list, and this is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I have never actually read any of Charles Dickens' books, but I have read a lot about him, and obviously I've always wanted to read his books. Let me read you the blurb. Great Expectations chronicles the fortunes of its young protagonist Pip as he is unexpectedly endowed by a mysterious benefactor with the life of a gentleman, which enables him to escape to London from the prospect of a humble blacksmith's career in rural Kent. In the bustling, unforgiving capital, he must learn for himself the pitfalls of love and wealth and how to sort his friends from his enemies. Through the lives of its unforgettable and iconic characters such as Magwitch, Miss Havisham, and Estella, Great Expectations charts the course of an England undergoing rapid social and economic change and tells a tale that is among the foremost classic of the English language. Charles Dickens is a literary phenomenon. He changed the literary world in so many ways. Charles Dickens is also really known to have really good plot twists and leave really good endings, so I'm very excited to see how this book goes. All these books, after every time I read them, I will quickly mention them in a favorites video, and I'll let you know if I like it and if I recommend it, and I'll kind of rate it for you guys. I don't know a lot about reading it, I don't know a lot about books yet, but I'm more than happy to just share what I've learned so far. The next book that I purchased was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Wilde. Wilde, I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'll read you the blurb. Dorian Gray is having his picture painted by Basil Hallward, who is charmed by his looks. But when Sir Henry Wotton visits and seduces Dorian into the worship of youthful beauty with an intoxicating speech, Dorian makes a wish he will live to regret. That all the marks of age will now be reflected in the portrait rather than on Dorian's own face. The stage is now set for a masterful tale about appearance, reality, art, life, truth, fiction, and the burden of conscience, and the burden of conscience. Another classic book in literary history. Oscar Wilde, he is one of the most successful playwrights. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this. This is probably his most sought after book. The books that are good in my opinion are the ones that I can take something from, the ones that I learn from. Those are the ones that I believe are good. The next book that I got is A Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. I'm not going to swear on this because I might have younger viewers who don't approve of profanity. This is a very hyped about book at the moment. It's all the rave right now. Everyone's talking about it. I'll read you the blurb real quick. Manson makes the argument that human beings are flawed and limited. As he writes, not everybody can be extraordinary. There are winners and losers in society, and some of it is not fair or your fault. Manson advises us to get to know our limitations and accept them. This, he says, is the real source of empowerment. Once we embrace our fears, faults, and uncertainties, once we stop running from and avoiding and start confronting our painful truths, we can begin to find the courage and confidence we desperately seek. He basically wants us to look at life in a realistic point of view, which is different to me. I'm a hopeless romantic, okay? I am sometimes not a realist, and I think that this book would be good for me as it will give me a different perspective in how I should take things in life. The next book that I got is The Great Gatsby by Fitzgerarld. The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite stories of all time. I've actually read this in school in English. We were forced to read it, and I've watched the movie. I watched the Baz Luhrmann movie, and it was beautiful. Baz Luhrmann is a genius. I love that film. I believe it deserved more than it received. I just love this tale. This story is filled with so much passion. Yes, it's unrealistic in many ways, but there is a sense of realism in the story. I haven't watched the movie in a long time, so I'm very excited to get into this again. I love Fitzgerald, and I really want to read more of his books, but I wanted to obviously start with this. I'm really glad I found this cover. It's really hard to find this cover in Australia. The next book that I got is Lost Islamic History by Firas Alkhateeb, and it's about reclaiming Muslim civilization from the past. This year I promised myself one of my biggest goals was to learn more about my religion. I am not a religious person despite my hijab, you know, and what you may think and what you may assume. If you watch my vlogs, I feel like you get a better feel of who I am as a person and just where I'm at with my man. But I'm an average adolescent, you know, young girl from Melbourne, living in a Western society, brought up in a Western society. Also, that's one of my points when I said to you guys earlier how I want my channel to be a community. I'm just a normal person, and I feel like there's a lot of teenagers out there that are my age or even younger that I feel like could benefit from like kind of life advice videos, and I would have loved to have those kind of videos on YouTube when I was younger. So that's what I want my channel to be about. I don't want it to just be about clothes. I wasn't looking for this book in particular, but I was looking for a book that could talk about Islamic history that's been overlooked and have literal evidence in it. So it's got like pictures and everything. I sound like a kid, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just very nice to have this when you're reading about history, and it's also got really good referencing, and it's beautifully made. I mean, look at this cover, you guys. I'm a sucker for good covers because I believe books are little pieces of art. I'm not a history person. I never was. Never thought I would be, but I feel like Islamic history is important to be more knowledgeable in the religion that you are in. It makes sense to do that, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. Let me know if you guys want to know more about that book after I read it. The last book that I got is The First Muslim by Lesley Hazleton, and it's basically the story of Prophet Muhammad SAW, peace be upon him. And she's a non-Muslim. She was a journalist. She reported on the Middle East from Jerusalem. She loves Prophet Muhammad SAW. Like, she truly admires him, which is amazing. You know, I love that, and that's why I wanted to buy her book, and I also really want to learn about Prophet Muhammad SAW, so I thought this would be a good start because I wanted something that was easy to read. A lot of the biographies on Prophet Muhammad SAW is very, very big, and it's like the referencing is insane. It's like you're truly studying it, but I just wanted a light book that I could, you know, read on the train and stuff. She wants to humanize him because she loves his story so much, to the point where she believes that he has the potential to be more empowering, not only towards Muslims but towards everyone. She believes that everyone can learn something from Prophet Muhammad SAW, which I obviously believe that too. We all believe that. I really like that. I really admire that about her. But she kind of challenges the Quran in a way where she prefers to again portray him, to humanize him more, so we are better able to relate to him, which I understand that point of view. I understand what she's trying to do, and because Prophet Muhammad SAW is seen as a perfect human being in the Quran, he's portrayed as a basically a perfect human being. And of course, you know, he's the last and final messenger of Allah. The Quran was revealed to him. He is supposed to set an example for the ummah, for us, for his community, for our religion. But she wants to kind of not focus on his flaws in a bad way, but sort of talk about him as a human. You know, talk about his flaws. That way we can relate to him. Oh, he's a human. He went through this too, which means I can go through this too. If he can get through it, I can get through it. You know, that kind of deal. Kind of what I'm trying to do on my channel. Like, I'm not perfect, which is why I feel like you can relate to me more. I'm just as human as you are. I go through the same things you do. So, you know, that kind of thing. She's trying to do that with Prophet Muhammad SAW. But it was to a point where I felt like it was challenging my own beliefs, and my intuition was telling me not to continue reading, to sort of stop first. I think I should build my foundation on Prophet Muhammad SAW a lot more. I should have a set foundation, a set base of knowledge about him before I go on to reading other books about him that could change my ideas. Because with reading about religion and Islam, you got to be careful to not go astray, because there are so many ideas out there, there are so many versions of the story out there, and you really want to be careful that you're not being led to false information and false ideologies and theories. So that is why I sort of refrain from continuing reading this, just because I don't want to risk that. Maybe later one day I'll read it, or I might pass on to someone who is more knowledgeable in this area, and they could maybe proofread it for me and maybe explain it to me. Maybe I've just misunderstood it. I don't know yet. That's why I'd like to discuss it with some people who have read it, maybe who can explain it to me better. But that's the kind of sense that I got from it. So that concludes my book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you're excited for the new content that my channel has to offer. I just want to thank you for supporting me as well with my channel. I mean, we're almost at 600 subscribers right now that I'm filming this, so I'm very, very happy. That means so much to me. Your support is everything, and it's the reason that I'm still here making videos for you guys. So thank you. I really want to thank you. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, and yeah, see you guys later. Bye.